nasty.
What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. You know we got a good one cooking up when we got a first-time guest on the show. We got my boy Connor Muff out here, man. Just actually finished up practice. This man's a pretty good-ass volleyball player, man. Watched him play a lot in high school. Haven't seen him a whole lot in college. You know, would love to check out a game after COVID's, out of here. Obviously it's not going away anytime soon as of right now. But Muff, how are you doing today, man? We're happy to have you on the show.
I appreciate the kind words, Brett. No, I appreciate it, and I'm doing well. Yeah, I just got done with practice and a team lift, but yeah, appreciate the time and excited to be a part of the show.
That's good stuff, man. Well, let's I want to give the floor to you here before I go. I want you to talk about your Dallas Cowboys. What's kind of been going on? What's going on more so with the NFC East and just the Cowboys in general? What do you think? Do you think they need a reload, rebuild? Do you think Jerry needs to go? Do you think who needs to go? Why? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
All right. Well, I'm going to start this back off when the Cowboys decided to hire Mike McCarthy. Obviously, all Cowboys fans were pretty excited, I think, moving in a direction where I think, Mike McCarthy, a Super Bowl winning head coach with the Packers and, won a lot of games in Green Bay. I think that got Cowboys fans really excited. And then to obviously get to the season and to now be 2-6 and third in the NFC East and only be a game and a half back of first place, which is still insane. I think just been a disappointing season. Obviously, with Dak going down, I think it didn't help at all. I think he's kind of the catalyst to our team, but it's really just been a series of underperforming weeks from all of our players across the board. I mean, you look at even our wins. Our win against Atlanta, they were up by 25 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. I think it'll be interesting moving forward. I really couldn't tell you one piece of the Cowboys organization that is failing. I think it's a collective thing where many small facets of the organization are failing, and it's showing on the field.
All right, so yeah, I like a lot of what you said, but I'm gonna hand out some blame here. All right, my first person, Jerry Jones. In the words of Stephen A. Smith, what the hell are you doing? That's the question I have, because here is the deal, okay? Here is the deal, Connor Muff. You and me both know that Jerry Jones likes to have control. He really does. And you know that Mike McCarthy doesn't really like to have full control. So it's kind of a match made in heaven almost, with Jerry and McCarthy. Here's the thing, is I don't put this on the offense at all. I mean, you look at before Dak went down, I mean, they were, Dak, Zeke, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. I mean, the list goes on and on with these guys. I mean, Blake Jarwin, he got hurt, had a good first couple games of the year and then goes down. And I really think for me, like you've been saying, NFC East is just so bad. I mean, people are calling it the NFC least. I've called it that on this show. But I'll tell you this, I mean, it's not like for the foreseeable future, that division. I mean, I don't think that the Giants are going to ever be like 11-5, 12-4. I don't think Washington will ever be 11-5, 12-4. I don't think Philadelphia is going to be 11-5 or 12-4 ever. So you're looking at 10-6 or under probably gets that division done. I would even probably argue below that. I do think that the defense is a big problem. It has been for years in Dallas. Obviously when you give up that many points to teams like Cleveland, to teams like Atlanta, it's really hard to come back in those games. And I think the Cowboys really they got lucky against Atlanta. Like, I think me and you can both agree. I mean,
100% agree. Yeah.
I mean, Atlanta sports just in general, like, I feel bad for them. They go through more heartbreak than just about anybody with leads and just blowing leads. But I would say this, Muff. I would say re-sign Dak. I would say pay him whatever he wants because he has been a leader of that football team in the locker room, outside the locker room. I mean, if the Cowboys had Dak, I would be lying to you if I would say I'd pick any other team but them to win that division. And I think Dak's the kind of guy to lead the Cowboys to the playoffs. I don't think the Cowboys will be a Super Bowl team for quite some time because I don't see how they can improve their defense and even their offensive line. I mean, you look at it, they've lost, Ty Smith, Travis Frederick, these guys are going in and out of the lineup like Zach Martin. You got so many offensive line issues, and that was really like the driving force when the Cowboys won 13-3 back in 2016. It was that offensive line. It was that Ezekiel Elliott. It was Dak being – the pressure was off of Dak. Like, Dak had to be good. He didn't have to be spectacular, superstar-like. He didn't have to be a top-5 quarterback every game for the Cowboys to win. And I think right now what you're seeing is it's Dak or bust for Dallas. And it's really shown these past couple of weeks. I mean,
what I do know is that the Dallas Cowboys defense is ranked dead last in the NFL. And in 5 of the 6 categories, like turnovers, turnover ratio, points allowed, yards, they are dead last. And I think that comes down to also a change in coaching staff. I think Rod Marinelli in the past has given the Cowboys an all right defense to work with. And then I think once, they made the decision to move away from Jason Garrett, they didn't retain a lot of their coaches. I think the only coach they kept was Kellen Moore at offensive coordinator, and he hasn't done a good job this year either. I think if the Cowboys and also injuries played a huge role in the beginning of the year. I mean, like you said, our offensive line led us to a 13-3 season just in 2016, and now only one of the remaining offensive linemen is still in there. So I think that had a big deal to do with it. And I think, just the play calling hasn't been creative enough. You see us, us trying to do these, passing on first down, pass on second down, and now we're in a bad situation on third down. And even with Dak in there, most of his completions came in the second half when we were down by a lot of points. So I think there's a lot of problems right now. I couldn't tell you in a definitive answer like how you fix it because you have so many missing parts right now with injuries. You have players suspended, and the free agent signings that the Cowboys made this past summer just didn't pan out. So I think it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this to Muff. I really do think that the Cowboys are going to have to kind of tear almost like a reload. Like they're going to have to tear a little bit of it down to get back to where they need to be. I mean, I don't see how you could win a Super Bowl with the way the Cowboys are constructed right now. Like, even if you have Dak, I'm like, you talk about that defense. I mean, I just would be like, I mean, next year you're probably looking at Seattle, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and the Saints. Those are probably the 4 teams in the NFC that are probably the best right now, I would say. And you talk about even this year and next year, like, I don't think the Cowboys defense has enough. I think that it's almost like Green Bay. Like, you look back to where they were at, like from about 2013 to 2016, where it was Aaron Rodgers or bust. And I think the Cowboys are starting to get that point where it's Dak Prescott or bust. And that's not a good place to be. And Green Bay has obviously proven that. They've proven that they can fix it because last season, obviously, you talked about the defense and how well they played. when Rodgers was struggling a little bit to getting that new flow of that offense. And now you look at this year, obviously they're 6-2, top of the division, playing really good football. I mean, yeah, we've had 2 bad games, but I mean, bad games happen throughout the course of the season. You're not going 16-0, 15-1. Like, that does not happen often in the NFL. It doesn't. Like, there's only been a couple teams that ever do that. But
Right.
I think that the Cowboys need to get in a position like the Packers were last year and this year, where they don't just have to rely on that quarterback. Because, I mean, Dak is great, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's of the talent of the Wilson, the Rodgers, the Brady, and the
I think
Mahomes.
it's closer than people would give him credit for.
Yeah,
And I
I think
think
closer.
because I think he still has proven year in, year out with his numbers that he competes with some of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. But I think you're right in saying that Dallas's defense is the root of all of its problems, and that Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and the Jones family needs to realize this offseason, or even right now, that this offseason should already be the focus. Like, I think that, and I think I've said this before, where Dallas has had a few players that I've considered to be like potential Pro Bowlers, and like that secondary, which they heavily invested in the last 2 years. Awuzie, Anthony Brown, Xavier Woods, Jordan Lewis, Trayvon Diggs. The key word there is potential. Like, they're not there yet, but I think, what we have to address is that we have to get a defensive coordinator who is consistently out scheming teams, which we have not done this year. And then in our linebacker core, you have, Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, DeMarcus Lawrence, already proved their worth as legit football players. And, you got, even DeMarcus Lawrence, who signed a massive contract in this offseason, but they've all performed poorly in 6 consecutive games. And I mean, I don't see that changing anytime soon. This defense has allowed 218 points through 6 games against the Giants, the Falcons, and the Cardinals. Like, that can't happen in the Dallas Cowboys organization. And I think a lot of people were saying, oh, this is the worst Cowboys football, we've ever seen. And I mean, the Cowboys have had some pretty bad teams. Like, even, the team with Troy Aikman and, Emmitt Smith went, I think it was like 1-15. And, this is kind of reminiscent of that. But no, I think the Jones family has to look at options right now that's going to help them in the future.
Well, I mean, Muff, if you think about it this way, I don't see the Cowboys probably getting over 6 or 7 wins. Like, I think they'll probably get somewhere between 5 and 7. So I think that'll be good enough for probably a top 10 pick, probably. What I don't want to see happen, Muff, and I'll just explain this to you, okay? So what I don't want the Cowboys to do is, let's say they get the 5th pick. Justin Fields is still there, and they take Fields and not pay Dak. People been talking about that. I don't know if you've been hearing that, but I've heard a lot of it over the past couple weeks, that the Cowboys may get Fields because they don't want to pay Dak. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I'm an Ohio State fan. I love Justin Fields. I think he's an amazing talent. But do I think he's Dak Prescott? No. I think Justin Fields is going to be a good player in the league, but I don't think he's going to be a Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, any of those caliber quarterbacks. But that's what I've been hearing. And I mean, if you look at it next year, man, like, you're talking about some really good defensive players, man, coming out next year. Like, you're talking about some really good defensive players. Like, if you guys look at the draft class, whoever's watching this, if you guys looked up the 2021 class, like, there's a lot of good talent in that class for the Cowboys to pick up outside of quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think first and foremost, I think I would feel, as a Cowboys fan, I think most Cowboys fans would agree with me, I would feel terrible for Dak Prescott if the Cowboys did use their 1st-round pick on Justin Fields, because, he was so good this year before he went down.
Yeah.
And, I don't think he would be lacking, teams looking at him if he did hit the open market, but an injury like that is going to prevent him from getting long-term offers. It's just what happens. I don't think if he stayed in Dallas, I don't think he will even get paid as much as people are expecting, not only because of his injury, but also, what the salary cap implications because of coronavirus will bring. I think Prescott wouldn't get, completely screwed if the Cowboys decided to move in a different direction, but I think it would put him in a super tough spot when all he's given to the organization is his best effort. And I think, he's done, great things outside of football too. But then I try and look at it from, another side where on the football side of things, it could maybe pay dividends to the Cowboys. You don't have to pay a rookie that much money. And the Cowboys already have a lot of very well paid players. And I think from the general manager side of things, you have to look at your cap situation and how you're going to navigate that moving forward. I think if you did draft Fields, you have him for at least 3-4 years under contract, under a rookie contract. And, I think if you do let go of Prescott, while he has performed well, I think there's a other side to that too. I've also, kind of heard the same thing about Trevor Lawrence. The Cowboys use their pick on him. I think, it's a decision of how much money you want to pay Dak, and, what that contract looks like and how many positions they're going to address next offseason, whether they decide to take Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or someone like that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that the Cowboys too, I mean, you could even look at it this way. Like if they wanted to go in rebuild mode, they got a top 5 pick, they could trade down. Because I mean, let's say New England, they're at 10. They decide to move off of Cam. I don't think they will because I've watched Cam play.
I don't think they will either. Yeah.
I've watched Cam play this year. I don't think Belichick's going to let that guy walk out the building. But you talk about where New England might want to move up. You get a shipload of picks. You get a shipload of picks for the 5th pick, and then you're set up for the future in a nice direction. I don't know. I will say this, Muff. I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but Lawrence and Fields look like 2 of the best prospects I've seen. I mean, Lawrence obviously looks like more of the pure NFL quarterback. Fields looks more like the newer style, the Kyler Murray, the Lamars. But I think he is a better thrower than both of those guys.
No, I agree. And I think what you brought up an interesting point, because I think you have a situation with the Cowboys where if they did take Fields or Lawrence, it's a very high risk, high reward scenario. And I think if there is a GM president in the NFL that's willing to make that move, it is Jerry Jones. And I think if this year's Cowboys team proves anything, it's that, if you have money invested in positions like, running back with Ezekiel Elliott and wide receiver like Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, those positions don't pay any dividends unless they have a reliable quarterback that drives the team and to feed them the ball. And if the Cowboys were to select Fields or Lawrence and they come in and they, succeed right away, I think people say, oh, the Jones family are geniuses for making this move. But if he stumbles, if the quarterback comes in and stumbles, then you have a situation where you are stuck with a bunch of high-priced players and a quarterback who still might need a few years to develop and to get to the point where he can elevate the level of play in the Dallas organization. I personally, as a Cowboys fan, it would be sad to see Dak Prescott not in a Cowboys uniform, but there's a part of me that's like, it would be fun to see it happen. And I think the NFL, it's kind of all about these big swings, in teams. And, I think the only goal Jerry Jones has is to win the Super Bowl, as most teams. But I think, Vegas odds would, if the Cowboys selected Fields, I think Vegas odds would give a nice betting proposition to anyone who would willing to take the Cowboys, to be led by a rookie quarterback to that level. I think it's a risky proposition, but it would be entertaining. I think it would give Cowboys fans a lot of excitement moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, Muff, I don't see a scenario where if they draft Fields or Lawrence, if these guys won't pan out. I mean, I've watched a lot of tape on these two guys. Obviously, me being an Ohio State fan, I watch Ohio State almost every weekend. I've watched Trevor Lawrence many times, and I can tell you this right now: these two guys are going to be very good players in the NFL. Do I think they're going to be Hall of Famers? I don't know. I think Lawrence has a better shot than Fields, but I think too, if you look at Fields from a perspective of on the field, but if you look at that, you look at the success he had with J.K. Dobbins. I think that this could be similar with Zeke. I think this could really benefit him because you talk about adding another element of the read option because these defenses are really going to have to focus in on Justin Fields. Dak Prescott, yes, he's a runner, but he's not Justin Fields, Justin Fields is an athlete, man. Like, this man is an athlete.
No, I agree. And I think what you don't see a lot of in Dallas is the read option or screenplay or any formations that could offer that. And I think you don't see Zeke, catching the ball a lot out of the backfield, which, I think that connection, like you mentioned, that Fields and Dobbins do have, it could present something different and a different, offensive style for Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, to call against teams. I think for the past 2-3 years, it's always been kind of one or the other between, either Zeke plays very, very well or Dak and the wide receivers have a really good game. And it's kind of always been one or the other. And I think they still haven't found a good mix of run and pass. But a situation like that would present a lot of options, and I think it would be interesting. I also think that this year, with all of Dallas's free agents, in 2021, I think there are still a lot of positions that are going to be up for grabs. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this offseason in the market.
I will say this, Muff, we're in full football mode right now, man.
Yeah.
We are in full football mode. I'm hoping that we start 2021 off with Ohio State winning the national title, and then shortly thereafter, the Green Bay Packers hosting up the Lombardi Trophy. I hope we get that. I will say this, Muff, bringing my objectivity to this show, which I try to do. I don't know if you guys agree. Leave a comment down below. But I have tried to be very objective on this show towards my teams. But I think that both teams have a shot of making it. I think there are probably two teams for each that I'm really afraid of. In the AFC, it is the Chiefs. In the NFC, it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For my Packers, I'm afraid of those two teams. And then Ohio State, it's Clemson and Alabama that I am. But Muff, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. We really appreciate it. We will.
I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been nice to catch up with and talk to you for a little bit, but I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That's what this is all about, man. That's why I kind of started this. One, just to have fun, have something to do during this time. It's been a rough year. For me, obviously being on lockdown again with the bad COVID numbers, my doctors kind of said, "Bright, you gotta stay home, hunker down." So it's the perfect way to stay connected with friends, have a good time, and keep grinding, man. That's the goal. And I mean, I will say this: we'll have to get you on with Cooper and Owen because that show will literally be one of the funniest of all times.
Oh, for sure. That show will happen. That we'll get that done soon. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I really appreciate you though, Muff. I hope everything is going awesome for you. In Iowa, right?
Yeah. Oskaloosa, Iowa, here at William Penn University.
Shout out to William Penn. Shout out to the William Penn volleyball team. If you guys watch the video, shout out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Muff. Well, you have a good night, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And make sure to keep striving for greatness. That's the goal, man.